Okay, all right, we'll get started. We'll talk, a little bit about last week's game, and then, again, go into what, the Middle Tennessee ball game, and revisit any of the highlights from the game, and talk about, where we stand right now. So, just looking of where we are right now after the game, as you get time to go back and study the film, again, there was a lot of really positive things. The thing that I was most proud of is that our guys really hung in there, handled any of the adversity that comes through a game, and handled it really well. And in a lot of ways, we did a lot of positive things in all three segments of what we did as a football team. Coming back from a third quarter deficit like we did is really, probably the highlight of the ball game. And again, as I mentioned before, just hanging in there and working together to get a win, and securing home field advantage, for our team, which is really big. We've, had, been a really good team at home over the last 3 years. I didn't know the stat, but I hadn't had time to really put it, but we're 10-2 over the last 3 years in the Sun Bowl, so that's probably a pretty, historic run in the Sun Bowl over the last 3 years. So really excited about that, and that's going to show up again, this weekend as we move forward to the Middle Tennessee game. But I really liked the way our defense played throughout the game. I thought Florida Atlantic going into the game, I thought they had one of the best run games we had seen all year. Their O-line is big and athletic, and they have three really good backs that create different issues because they're so fast. They have a lot of team speed, and of course we knew the size and speed they had at receiver position too. So I thought our defense played extremely well throughout the game, even when they got their drives. One of them was because I talked about at the press conference about us, missing the coverage because one of our players had to leave the game for a couple plays, and we had a quick substitute. We missed a coverage, and then they hit a run on the very next play where we just missed a gap. But again, I thought our defense played well all throughout the whole ball game, held them to not a whole lot of yards. I thought our offense did a lot of really positive things. The main thing that we did offensively was secure the ball again for 35 plus minutes. And anytime you do that, a team like Florida Atlantic didn't have a whole lot of football plays to run, and I thought their schemes were really good. I thought they had some really good schemes and some good thoughts with what they were doing offensively, but our defense did a good job. And you take out, the things we still have to, get better at is we need to, finish drives with touchdowns, and you're not always going to do that. As I'd mentioned before, you're going to have some drives where you do have to settle for a field goal, and sometimes field goals are not the best, but they're better than coming up empty, which we got to definitely eliminate coming up empty at any time we're inside the red zone. But that part of it was the things that we got, working to get better on is the big turnover, pick six. Those are real game-changing, and for us to overcome that was really pretty good accomplishment from our football team. Unfortunately, I felt like Ray was interfered on that, and Ray's not a guy to ever not tell things the way it is, but he said, "Coach, when I went up to go for the ball, my whole inside arm was being detained and grabbed, and I couldn't reach with one hand for the ball, and it got tipped and picked." So that was really unfortunate to have that play, but fortunately it did not affect us. And we did the things that we needed to do. They got the last drive at the end, and, the effort that we gave, talking about the controversial play, the effort that we gave on that from praise and everybody up front has just been repetitive throughout the year. And, right when they scored, we're all thinking, well, it's going to be 21-21. We got to go down and score. But no, it's not, because we get the great effort and execution from our defensive rush on the PAT and get the block, and then, obviously it was something that all the years of coaching, I've never had that happen. And these officials who are experienced officials have never had it happen. And the first explanation to me was that we're not going to get the 2 points, but they're not going to get to retry the kick, coach, so you're still going to, coach, relax, you're still going to have a lead. And then they went to the center of the field and further conversation and decided that they were going to re-kick it. As I found out since, I don't know if that's public or not, if it's been made public yet or not, but the conference head of conference officials was trying to reach out and let those guys know, but he couldn't get to them in time that they shouldn't have been able to re-kick the ball. And so, he obviously has said that was the wrong ruling. And I'm not judging or being judgmental. It's just something that none of us have come across. But unfortunately, they got to kick it again, and they shouldn't have got to kick it again. We should have had a 1-point lead in the ball, which would have changed the whole dynamics of the last 4 minutes and 30-some seconds, because after 2 first downs, we could have killed it, could have killed the ball after 2 first downs with 3 timeouts and 4:38 on the clock, so for the opponent. So it changed the aspect of the game, but it gave us a lot more drama, right? A lot more drama and excitement. And Gavin came through and hit a great kick there, and really had a really good ball game again. I thought our special teams did a lot of good things as well. Continue to do some good things. We weren't perfect. We weren't perfect in any aspect of what we did anywhere, but we sure found a great way to win a football game, and it gets us back to, in a really good spot. We're 2 games away from being bowl eligible right now. Got a chance to, we're on a good roll. Started off the season 1-3, and we've recovered with a good run here over our last 6 ball games, and so we got ourselves, playing really good football right now, and doing some fun things for everybody to come see and watch us play. And again, we're in the hunt to get to a bowl game for back-to-back years, and that obviously we need to win ball games to get to that point, but it's still a lot of excitement going into these last 4 games, and looking forward to sporting our Texas Western and defending the home turf in our Texas Western jerseys again, which I'm excited about, and I know Tysh is excited about that too. He's urged me to do that. I was debating whether we were going to do it or not until Tysh made the call it's funny because my wife got to see the guys leaving the locker room up close. She's like, gosh, I've never seen those jerseys up close before. Those things are really cool. And the guys really enjoy playing in them. And so we need to have a great ball game leading into Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee is a team that they've played a really difficult schedule. As we know, the teams that they've played in our conference are really good football teams. And so they have lots of team speed. All you have to do is go back and watch their game against Miami of Florida, where they just got after it from the very get-go and won decisively against Miami of Florida. They're one of the best teams in the country at causing turnovers. I think they're in the top 10 in the country in turnovers caused, but they've had I believe 3 games where they've had a turnover on the offensive team's first possession that they're going against, and so they can make a dramatic impact on the game early. Very good athletic defensive football team with really good team speed across the board. They have some marquee players on their defense that we definitely are aware of and have to account for at all times. And then offensively, they got receivers that have some really big play potential and can do some really good things. And so Middle Tennessee has been a strong opponent in our conference for many years. Rick Stockstill is a really good friend of mine, and he does a tremendous job. Rick's in his 17th season there at Middle Tennessee and doing a great job again with this year's football team. And so, again, it's like I've said every week, every game's a challenge. Every game goes to the team that plays the best, right? And so that's going to be our challenge, is to get out and play well. And we encourage all the fans to get out for homecoming. We're having it at night to help make sure everybody can get to the ball game, and we're doing a lot of neat things with some Halloween celebrations and some other bonus packets that you can get as far as ordering tickets. So we urge everybody to get out, and Miners are playing good football, so come see your Miners play. Open up to questions from there.
How do you sort of start to string things together now? That hadn't been something you guys have been able to do yet this year. How do you kind of go about it?
Yeah, I think to do the things that, we talked about our open week, Brett, is to, try to fix some of the things that we need to fix that have kept us from, winning the games that we have not won. And one of them is continue to work on, this is going to be a really big game to not turn the ball over, or to win the turnover margin, because they're so good at causing turnovers. So that's going to be really important for us. They're a team that can score points. They're a high-scoring offense. They run a lot of plays. So it's going to be more. There's going to be more plays in a game than what you might typically see in one of our games, because we try to minimize that. And so for us, it's going to be important that we can continue to control the clock on them. But the flip side of that is, not give up big plays. That's going to be really important. That's the things that will help us with our consistency of what we're doing, because our yards per game defensively is really good. Our yards per game offensively is just continually, we've continued to climb over the last 4 or 5 games. So I think we just need to continue to trend the way we're trending, and be really good at our completion percentage. That's kind of the games that we've played well. We haven't turned the ball over much. We've been really good on our completion percentage, and we've run the football well. And so those are the things that will allow us to have, the consistency we need to win some games down the stretch.
When you go back to the controversial call, what did Conference USA explain to you when they followed up with you?
Mike DeFee does a great job. He's the head of the officials, and he's really, really professional, and I really enjoy, the difference he's made since he's come to the league. And so he wanted to share that, he was frantically trying to get to the phone to make sure that those guys knew what the right ruling was, and that he said, I'm never one to try to hide from mistakes that were made, and we made a mistake, and you guys should have had the lead. And he was, thankful that it didn't cost us a ball game, that it ended up not having an impact on the ball game when it was all said and done, and he left it at that. But it was a good gesture for him to reach out and to do that as quickly as he could do it. So I appreciate that.
Are they saying it just should have been blown dead?
Should have been blown dead, yeah. Should have been blown dead, and the kick should have not been retried. Block counts. Yeah. So that was the ruling. So. Would have been a lot better for all of us if that would have happened, for our nerves and everything. So, but I was really, one of the plays I didn't talk about was that 3rd and 7 that Gavin and Tyron executed. Was just tremendous execution in a really, really tough situation, because if not, we're punting the ball back with 3:30, and I think we're in a tough spot, just momentum-wise and all that. So that was another really, really big play in the ball game for us.
Was that a win that can kind of propel you into this week, or is it something where it's such a euphoric feeling that you worry maybe about a little bit of a
Yes. Yes and yes, right? Yeah. It's a big win. It propels us. It gets us back to where we need to be. When you look at the start of the season and you look at the games that we've had to play, some we probably shouldn't have lost at the beginning of the year. We weren't picked. Some we won that we weren't picked to win, right? And so it's got us back, in a fighting position to get to a lot of what our goals were. That's the positive part of it, and the other part of it is it's just one. It's just one. And as Brett mentioned, we got to continue to do things well, to get another win now, right? Because now you just move on to the next one. So enjoy it. It's great. It's good for us, but now we got to move on, and we got the same type of challenge coming up this week. A very similar team, different but similar as far as the level of ability they have and the level that they could. If you don't play well, whoever plays the best is going to win this game, right? That's how it's going to be for us down the stretch here. In every game, we got 4 more games left, and every game is very winnable for us, for sure. And every game can be lost if we don't play well.
Coach, 8 games into the season, in the first quarter, you scored just 20 points. How do you kind of turn things around in that first quarter, especially when you mentioned that Middle Tennessee has such a way of making an impact?
Yeah, it's going to be important. We really want to try to get off to a fast start. I mean, we're really trying to get to that point. We're trying to, we talked about it in here last week, all of us together, how it would be important for us to come off to a fast start. And we really didn't do that again this week, right? I mean, we just, couldn't get, we played good football. We really, when we lost the coin toss with the way the wind was, I'm like, whoa, now that's a big loss right there. Because my envision was, let's win the coin toss, 3 and out. They punt it for about 15 yards, and we get the ball at midfield. Well, that was flipped on us, exact opposite of what I envisioned. And I'm like, okay, so here we are, and this is what I was afraid was what I wanted to have happen to them. And from there, we really just were fighting and scratching and clawing in that first quarter. and then we kind of just took control, but not enough. We didn't get touchdowns, right? And that's where we need to get touchdowns. Those first drives where we settled for field goals, when we had to settle for field goals, we needed touchdowns to get that fast start that you're talking about. So we just got to execute better early in the ball game to be able to get some leads.
How are you going to highlight even more than what we saw this Saturday with Hankins? He's a workhorse, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
You got to pop the holes for the guy.
Yeah.
And
He's running Deion's running tremendously hard. I don't know if anybody in the country runs any harder than that guy does, and then unless it's Ronnie, right? And Ronnie's running really hard. Those backs are doing some really good stuff, and they're definitely a problem for people, and our line's doing a great job of getting them started, and it's really nice to have that, as part of our offense, and so everybody's got to go into, a game with different game plans, and that's part of the reason for our slow start is that people are giving us different looks early in games because they have to prepare differently. I mean, they might prepare differently for us because of how hard our backs are running, how well our line's blocking. We're going to get a different game plan than what they gave to other people, and so that's part of where we have to kind of settle back. But we still had some success early, and we didn't finish drives. But what they do changes the way people have to defend us, and so that's been a really good part of what Deion and Ronnie are bringing to the table. And Ray, when he gets back there, we were planning on running him more, but when he gets back there, he's a really good runner too as well.
Specifically with Deion, the injury last year, the potential has always been there, and a lot
Right.
of people here locally have seen it. How rewarding is it as a coach just to see him explode as he's done this year?
Yeah, it's great, and he's such a sweet, wonderful guy, and everybody loves him in the community, and it's so funny because this is a funny sidebar this morning, funny story about Deion. So at the pregame meal Saturday, I had brought some Diet 7-Up to the pregame meal. Well, the players don't get the Diet 7-Up, they don't get that. But I had brought a couple cans of the pregame meal, and Deion saw one of them. He's like, "Coach, can I have one of those Diet 7-Ups?" And I'm like, "Sure." So when he was doing his interviews this morning, he came over to me. He's like, "Coach, after the game, I popped open that Diet 7-Up." So that's Deion's way of partying right there. So I thought that was beautiful.
Was that he got caught.
Yeah.
That was he was more upset of
Oh,
that
yeah.
than the run.
Yeah, he made a great run, and he didn't get caught. They just snatched his heel. It was a desperate. When you watch it again on film, the kid just took a desperate lunge, and he just got him. I mean, if he lets it go another half step, the lunge isn't even going to get there. So it was perfect timing from the defender for sure. But Deion was moving. He was moving for a 230-pound guy. He was really getting after it.
What about their team, I guess? They're capable of beating, obviously,
Yes.
Miami on the road.
Yeah.
Also, 3 consecutive losses.
Right.
I know against some good team in the conference, but
Yeah.
what is it that allows them to go on the road and win a game like that? But
Yeah.
also lose?
Yeah. I think their big play capability is a dangerous weapon for them. So I think that's what they really, they played a really flawless game against Miami, and they have that kind of talent level, Colin, where they can play at a high level, and they showed it. So that's what you see when you see a game like that. You know what they're capable of doing, and so that puts it, that puts it out there that you're playing against a team that and their turnovers, the way they create turnovers is very, very, especially early in games like that, because that can really impact a ball game. So those are the things that really scare you about them.
Coach, both of those touchdowns in the second half, goal-to-goal situations. Gavin was on the move, obviously, the rushing one, and then the one to Ray, he was rolling out, finds Ray in the corner. Was that Gavin just improvising, or was that more of a concerted effort from you guys to kind of get him on the move when you are down?
We do have a more concerted effort to get him on the move, and that was really a good read by him on the zone read play to pull it out of there, and then moving him around like we're doing. It's difficult for people to have to cover those things because of the things I alluded to, is the way Deion and Ronnie are running, that you have to put so many guys to the run that it just allows Gavin to be able to pull balls and break contain and do things like that. And Gavin's really good and athletic when he gets out there. I mean, you see him, he's really He's always been athletic, but he's really improved his athleticism and his strength, and he moves well and can run and throw the ball on the run well. So that's a good tool set for him that we've started to use as our run game has started to become successful. Those are the things that help the run game by doing those things with him. So that was a big part of the game plan, last week for sure.
That touchdown, his rushing touchdown, was that like an identical play that they ran down on the goal line when Tyreek James got the fumble?
Yeah. It was similar. The one they ran was like a naked boot, a true naked boot where there wasn't any route runners, where he didn't, he turned his back to the defense, and the one that Gavin scored on was just a traditional zone read keep. But he made a great read, and he did that against Boise too. You remember one of the key plays in the last drive of the game against Boise, Gavin did that. And I think he had that a time or two on this last drive when we got inside the 30. He had the option to keep it, but he didn't want to get that, messed up pole read when you're already in field goal range with Gavin. But there was a time or two I think he knew he could have pulled it and probably walked in the end zone, but he didn't want to take the risk in that, which is smart in that type of situation. So him being able to keep the ball in those plays is really been a good thing for us.
Coach, you go back a few weeks, and there were a lot of questions around this team. Now you guys are just 2 wins away from a bowl game.
Uh-huh.
And I know you tell your players 1 and out, just focus on each game, but they're smart people. I'm sure they're thinking ahead, knowing that they've got just 2 games left to win to then go to a bowl game. How are you kind of trying to level expectations?
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to. As I said, it's the that we played good, but we got to make sure that we handle ourselves the way we need to handle ourselves and prepare really hard. And so our challenge was to have a good day today. It was cold and nasty day out there today, and now it looks like it's beautiful out now. And but they stayed focused and they worked and they did a good job. And so the challenge is for us is that we can't just show up and play. It's all about having the best week of preparation that we can have. And so they need to take the momentum that we have and make it a positive energy about grinding and pushing ourselves through these last 4 games. So that's the big emphasis right now is don't take last week's performance or win for granted. Now let's have our best practices that we've had all season this week, and if we practice well and prepare well, our team's got the ability to play at a really high level, and so that's what they see. They see each other and they gain confidence from seeing other guys make plays, and they see when we hit negative spurts that no one gets down. That's been the big thing about us all year. That's been one thing that's been true for these guys is that they don't ever give in when things start going poorly in a game. So that's important, and that was another learning experience. So great practices, great preparation will keep us where we need to be.
You were talking about last week about casting around for a number 3 receiver. Any thought that Trent Thompson could maybe handle him?
Flexing him out some. We almost did it some in our game. He's doing some good things. He's been a good weapon for us, for sure, with what he's doing. I did think that Kelly Akari had a really good week last week of practice. And he almost had a really good play, but they made a really good play defensively. But he played a lot better, even though it didn't show in the stats. Saturday, Kelly was open twice for touchdowns, and various things might have happened where the first 3 plays of the third quarter, we had the dropped pass, and then we had 2 guys wide open for touchdowns, and we got one of them. We gave up a sack, which was just we missed us targeting, and another one we just didn't see him. So and Kelly ran by the defense on both of those. So I'm hoping he continues because he's got that kind of ability to continue to do what he's doing. So I was pleased with his effort, even though it didn't show up on the stat sheets.
Your kicker, your holder, your long snapper, and your punter all have mullets. I was curious on the mullet brigade, and if you ever had a mullet.
Have I ever had a mullet? Yes, I've had a mullet. I think you guys could probably dig it out from my senior year of college, probably 1986. Definitely had a mullet. That was the thing to do. And those guys are rocking it. I mean, they look good, so more power to them.
Just one last question on the last drive. It seemed that every play and everything that was contrived to get to the field goal worked to perfection.
Yeah.
Were you happy with?
Yeah, that was a great last drive. I thought it was really similar to what we did in the Boise game, where we went back because we've had some, 4 minutes and 30 seconds to close out a game that way was absolutely what we needed to do, and ate up the clock the way we needed to eat it up, and we got the ball on the right hash where Gavin likes it better, and he feels more comfortable, and so all that was set up for us well.
Jadrian Taylor leads Conference USA in sacks. What has he done for you all?
Yeah, gosh, did he have a game, huh? And, I didn't see Conference Players of the Week again, but I thought he'd have a good chance of getting that again with all of his production that he had in the game. But I thought he made some plays just running. He runs like a linebacker, and he's a defensive end, and he plays with so much effort and just relentless pursuit to the football. So he's been a really, really, he's just had a great career here, the 3 years that he's played for us, the 2 3/4 years. Actually, it's probably, how many games has he played? 13 plus 16, right? So 29 games. He's had a good career so far for us. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Yep.